morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and here is your detailed forecast update for March 28th, 2025. Low pressure still dominating the scene over in Queensland with heavy rainfall streaming through Queensland and New South Wales this morning. Significant rainfall accumulations to now over the last 24 hours have been well in excess of 200 millimetres across a lot of locations. We have severe weather warnings left, right and centre across Queensland and now extending into New South Wales as well. Let's crack into those details right now. First off with the main rainfall event, which is driven by that low pressure system currently situated over South Australia. In fact, you can see on the latest satellite imagery that the low pressure centre itself is just situated through this area here between Birdsville down towards Winaring here. It's a very elongated low pressure system this morning and it is struggling to get itself together at this point here. And like I said, it's not going to be developing any further, but the rainfall is still rotating on its eastern flank and onto its southeastern flank as well. Some really significant rainfall has been reported over the last 24 hours. As mentioned, a severe weather warning current for locations in South Queensland, including Charleville, Wyandra, Cunnamulla, St George and Thallon. Charleville has picked up a further 70 millimetres overnight, which takes their week-long rainfall accumulations up to 350 millimetres there. That is an all-time record for week-long rainfall accumulations in Charleville, but rainfall accumulations out towards Quilpie and Addervale have been up around that 500 to 600 millimetre mark. Of course, that completely bulldozes the all-time week-long rainfall records in those locations of about 300 millimetres, and the rainfall there is still coming down, although it is a lot lighter this morning, thank goodness. Water levels in those areas are becoming extremely problematic at this time, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes, but they are continuing to rise as well. Into north-central New South Wales, there is a severe weather warning covering locations such as Winaring, Burke, Lightning Ridge, Woolgett, Coonaball and Cobar for heavy rainfall. Of course, their significant rainfall accumulations now beginning to build. Burke's picked up nearly 50 millimetres of rainfall and rapidly counting as well, and you can see this big band of heavy rainfall that's been very slow moving over the last 6 hours, and it is starting to get itself properly into New South Wales now. This rainfall event, I imagine the rainfall accumulations are now just going to exponentially pipe up through some of these locations. Again, it's just that slow-moving, showery band stuff that we're seeing, that we saw in Queensland over the last couple of days, and that's the stuff that we're seeing now move into New South Wales. It's a problematic type rainfall that we're seeing through here because it's consistent and it's giving the rivers a lot of time to kind of soak up before the real rainfall arrives in the heavier bands from these showers, and then they just flood, and when they flood, they have flooded, that's for sure. Major flooding is occurring or has occurred at every single flood monitoring point in the Channel Country in the Queensland side of things. Really significant flooding also expected now to the northwestern part of New South Wales rather, and even into the north central parts of New South Wales, and minor to moderate riverine flooding can be expected in northeastern New South Wales and through some of the southeastern corners of New South Wales as well. Some really significant flooding has been a result of this significant rainfall through here, and I'm not even getting started on southeast Queensland or central Queensland at this time. That deserves a whole part of the video itself, so stick around for that in just a few moments. In terms of what's still to come for this rainfall here, you can see this low pressure system expected to steadily head towards the southeast. It is weakening throughout the remainder of today as well. Showers and thunderstorms will be widespread through this afternoon and this evening. They'll increase for the northern half of New South Wales and showers extending down into the top half of Victoria, with a couple of millimetres expected at both Mildura and Broken Hill later on tonight. The showers and storms will then clear out of the northwestern corner of New South Wales through early tomorrow morning, and it looks like the sun will shine on Winaring and Burke throughout tomorrow morning by the looks of things. Then these showers contracting to the eastern half of New South Wales through tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon, with isolated heavy falls expected outside of Sydney and Wollongong, especially up around the Barrington Tops and then through some of the mountains north of the Barrington Tops up to Tamworth and Armidale. Isolated heavy falls possible through Saturday night, and then widespread moderate heavy falls expected in the southeastern corner of New South Wales as well throughout the remainder of tomorrow as well, around Bega, Mallacoota, Ulladulla and then up towards Wollongong as this low pressure system contracts itself off the coastline. Heavy rainfall persisting through the early hours of Sunday before this low pressure system gets itself offshore, and it looks like it's going to go through a process of bomb cyclogenesis, which is where it rapidly develops into what's effectively a bomb cyclone here, a very significant low pressure system developing here in the Tasman Sea, and it will behave like an east coast low with some strong winds expected through New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania throughout the early parts of next week before heading down towards New Zealand and dragging a lot of moisture down there. Our friends over in the South Island of New Zealand can expect to receive some pretty significant rainfall as a result of this low pressure system through Wednesday, Thursday and Friday next week. Into the northeast of New South Wales and the southeast of Queensland, you can see a couple of showers and rain bands moving through those areas right now. Southeast Queensland has really picked up some significant rainfall overnight, and it is a sign of things to come as well. And the rainfall forecast has definitely been on the lower side of what we're seeing numbers-wise across parts of the Sunshine Coast and into Queensland. So for the Sunshine Coast, expecting significant falls to begin piping up through tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon, and you can see heavy rainfall expected to be widespread through the Sunshine Coast through the early hours of tomorrow afternoon. Moderate heavy falls are possible around the Brisbane area, and moderate falls are possible around the Gold Coast area through tomorrow morning into early tomorrow afternoon. It looks like the showers and storms will clear out by tomorrow evening, especially through tomorrow night, and the rainfall will clear out and the sunny weather will return through Sunday and into Monday, drying out a very soggy southeast Queensland. Again, as we just look at the Queensland side of things one more time, you can see rainfall still expected to continue across the southwestern parts of Queensland through the Channel Country and through the central south areas around Charleville, Quilpie, Addervale, Wyant Road, Callumalla, those sort of areas, and significant falls are still expected throughout the remainder of today, but rainfall accumulations shouldn't reach triple figures for a wide swathe of locations. If we do see triple figure rainfall accumulations throughout the remainder of today, they will be concentrated around the Cunnamulla area. Triple figure rainfall accumulations today into tomorrow morning are possible around Burke and Cobar and Wilcannia and Ivanhoe down into the northwestern part of New South Wales, and then triple figure rainfall accumulations are expected through Saturday into parts of southeastern New South Wales around Ulladulla, Narooma and Mallacoota, where we could be seeing some pretty significant falls there, up to 150 millimetres, but for the most part widespread falls between 40 and 80 millimetres expected between Ulladulla up to Taree, with isolated totals up to 120 millimetres expected outside of Sydney, especially around the Barrington Tops, and falls up to 120 millimetres, if not 150 millimetres, are possible around the Orange, Parks and Dubbo area through Saturday and into Sunday morning. Rainfall will be heavy through New South Wales, and I feel like that is a factor that is going to get overlooked quite significantly, but the rainfall will be at its heaviest through southeastern Queensland. Very heavy falls possible around the Sunshine Coast, and with heavy bands of rainfall expected through early tomorrow morning, we could be seeing rainfall accumulations up to 150, if not 200 millimetres in those locations. Widespread falls between 40 and 90 millimetres can be expected around Brisbane and the Gold Coast. Rainfall accumulations shouldn't be anything over 100 millimetres through Metro Brisbane and even suburban Brisbane and the Gold Coast. However, wetter locations such as Mount Tamborine or Springbrook do have a chance of receiving slightly more rainfall than that. And the Sunshine Coast has been on the receiving end of some significant rainfall overnight. Kin Alert has picked up 283 millimetres of rainfall, and whilst we were looking at rainfall that could fall to this degree on the forecast modelling, we don't expect it to be that heavy, that's for sure. So it is certainly a sign that the rainfall is out there and some really heavy stuff is moving through these areas, and major flooding currently occurring through the Gympie River, I believe, as well at 1 or 2 points, and it is substantially above the major flooding alert as well. So if you do live in the Sunshine Coast and in a flood-prone area, remain very vigilant over the next couple of days. The catchments in these areas are absolutely beyond saturated after Tropical Cyclone Alfred's record rainfall dump in this part of Queensland, and with more rainfall falling and more rainfall having fallen over the last couple of days, the rivers are struggling to cope right now. So again, stay safe, and remember, if it is flooded, forget it. North Queensland is what I want to talk about right now. I told everybody a couple of days ago that we're going to be seeing these isolated shower bands develop along the coastline, and they'll dump some significant rainfall accumulations. Where they happen is going to be a little bit of an uncertainty. Well, it turns out that they just had to happen on the Whitsundays and into Mackay, perhaps the most populated part of the North Queensland coastline outside of Townsville, which has already copped their fair share, mind you, and rainfall accumulations overnight have been very significant, up to 300 millimetres of rainfall, and it's still tearing down across the Mackay area. You can see through Gargett and Marion well above the major flooding alerts right now. In fact, I believe the major flooding mark there is at 6.5 metres through the Pioneer River, and I think the water level there is flowing at close to 13 metres this morning and rapidly rising still. So some very significant flooding can be expected outside of Mackay. It's not going to be record breaking or anything. It's not going to rival Tropical Cyclone Debbie's flooding, but some really significant contributions to the water levels can be expected. I'm also very concerned about the Burdekin River as well. There's been some significant rainfall falling around the Burdekin River, and moderate flooding has been occurring outside of Ayr over the last couple of days, which has temporarily eased off, but you can see this rainfall here is lining up for mainly the Pioneer River, but some of the residual showers streaming on the outer bands of this system here are also lining up the Proserpine River and the Burdekin River as well outside Gargett. The rainfall accumulations, they're really going to be piling on into the Burdekin River. So in the next couple of days, we can expect some pretty sharp water level rises of the Burdekin River south of Collinsville, and then some sharp water level rises through Tuesday and Wednesday around Ayr. We could be seeing some really significant flooding in those areas. Not Tuesday and Wednesday, sorry, through this weekend, which should then ease off by Tuesday and Wednesday. But I would not be writing off moderate or even major flooding of the Burdekin River at this time, even though the rainfall isn't directly falling over the main parts of the catchment. Heavy showers are contracting out of Townsville at this time, and it doesn't look like rainfall is going to be much more of a problem for the Townsville area. But what I am concerned about, and you can see this on the 6-hourly radar loop here, is we've got those thunderstorms firing up over North Queensland in areas such as Muttaburra, Longreach, Jericho, Hewendon, Maxwellton, Winton. They've been no stranger to them over the last couple of days, but these thunderstorms here are being dragged into this low pressure system here, and because it's now closer to the coastline, marginally of course, but these thunderstorms are now really firing up in the Coral Sea, and it looks like they're just being dragged down by the looks of things, being pushed across by Gulf of Carpentaria moisture and then just being dragged down and forced down the coastline. And I reckon these showers are still going to persist. They're going to persist for the next couple of days. That's that's for sure, or the next day or so, that's for sure, and head steadily down the coastline. But the fact that is that they're very slow moving and they're going to be very persistent as well. So I'm expecting north and far north Queensland locations north of Rockhampton to absolutely cop it in the next couple of days. Some significant rainfall also up in far north Queensland as well, but they're no stranger to the stuff, so it's not really worth time of day. But some significant falls are expected south of Mackay as well, on top of the rainfall that they're going to pick up today, which could be anywhere up to 300 millimetres on top of what has already fallen. It's a little bit hard to tell because the shower band is showing no signs of easing up right now. We could be seeing some more significant rainfall there. And you can see on the convective forecast models as well throughout today and into tomorrow, they've really initialised the forecast quite well. So including the rainfall that's already fallen, we could be seeing peak rainfall accumulations outside of Proserpine up to 500 millimetres over the next 24 hours, including the rainfall that has already fallen, which is going to give way to some pretty significant impacts from this rainfall here. Very significant stuff, that's for sure. And this is why we use the convective forecast models. They're the only ones up in North Queensland that can come close to the magnitude of the rainfall that we do see and expect up in those areas. Rainfall could be as high as 100 millimetres down the coast as well. Ogmore's looking at 100 millimetres this weekend, Rockhampton up to 120 millimetres of rainfall, and widespread falls between 60 to 100 millimetres possible around Gladstone, Agnes Water, Bundaberg, and then down onto the Sunshine Coast where the rainfall will pick up again. Biloela and Edderswold further inland could also see some respectable rainfall accumulations between 20 and 50 millimetres. Taroom and Chinchilla rainfall accumulations will likely be a little bit lighter out there. They never really started with the rainfall down in the Taroom and the Injune and the Roma area. The rainfall has slid further towards the west and further towards the south of them, so good news for those locations. This is the type of rainfall that we really don't want to be seeing getting itself over locations, and it just so happens that this has been one of the most widespread rainfall events in Queensland history, and the problems that it has caused is unbelievable. I'm very active over on the Facebook page right now as well with the rainfall and what's happening in regards to the rainfall, so go over there and check it out. But we are seeing square kilometres, and I'm not talking about dozens of square kilometres, I'm talking about thousands of square kilometres of land that has been completely inundated and washed away by these water levels. I mean, this is flat country out in this part of Queensland, so the rivers, you've got the rivers there, but once we get above major flooding, the whole place just floods, and we're looking at a couple of metres of water over very wide swathes of land out in this part of Queensland. You might be able to make it out in the satellite imagery through the next couple of days, just a massive cooling and some really big flooding. You can already start to see it through here, this kind of white swathe that it looks like cloud but isn't exactly cloud. This is floodwaters in this area. That just goes to show how significant the flooding has been outside of Badori. Quilpie as well has been completely copying it. Addervale has been evacuated as a result of the flooding. I'm not sure if they've been returned to Addervale at this point here, but downstream Eromanga and Quilpie, they're going to be next for it as well. A lot of ignorant comments as well on these Facebook posts, just blatantly disrespecting the farmers out here, telling them that they should have moved their animals to high ground. There is no such thing as high ground in this part of Queensland. It is flat, it is low-lying, and it is extremely flood-prone, and that is why we're seeing such significant flooding in this location of Queensland. Very, very sad to see, absolutely heartbreaking, and there are going to be some very significant property losses and some mind-blowing stock losses as well. So my thoughts, and all of Australia's thoughts as well, I think I can speak for everybody, are out with those in rural Queensland at this point, in desert Queensland. I'm wishing everybody all the best out there. I'm wishing everybody a speedy recovery, and I'm hoping that everybody bands together and helps everybody else out in the recovery efforts from this rainfall event. It has been once in a lifetime, that's for sure, over in this part of Western Queensland. Let's shape things up now and talk about cyclones over in Western Australia. I've seen a lot of ramble about this tropical cyclone Courtney here getting up towards Category 5 status. Well, it could get to Category 5 status if it wasn't for wind shear. It is a strong tropical cyclone right now, definitely a severe tropical cyclone of Category 3 strength proportions, and you can see some good convection firing up around the centre, but it's struggling right now with a dry air intrusion and wind shear, so it's not going to get to Category 5 status, and if it does, it will need an absolute miracle, that's for sure. I was saying Category 4 pretty much right out of the gate here, and I'm still standing by that prediction. I do reckon that this will comfortably get to Category 4 status in the next 48 hours. It does have a little bit of reorganising to do throughout the remainder of today. Again, it's not interested in Western Australia or the Cocos Keeling Islands. It's got a destination to be, and that is the graveyard well offshore from Western Australia, down around here, and it is by every means trying to get there as soon as possible. So, Tropical Cyclone Courtney, no threat to Western Australia, but the next tropical cyclone could be developing on our doorstep, and later tonight we might be seeing a tropical cyclone impact outside of Koori Bay, north of Derby, in northwestern Western Australia's Kimberley region. this is the mess that we're seeing develop into a tropical low at this point here. It really doesn't look like anything on the radar and the satellite imageries, but it is beginning to develop a little bit nicer this morning, and it is firing up a lot of convection. It is expected for the most part to remain a tropical low. It could get to weak tropical cyclone status, and as such, a tropical cyclone warning has been issued for locations between Derby up to the Mitchell Plateau, so not including Columbaroo, and I don't even believe that cyclone warning does include Derby. We're expecting the system here to continue to wrap itself up throughout the remainder of today and then make that landfall around the Kuri Bay sort of area here. The forecast model's calling for it to be a little bit closer to Derby through early tomorrow morning, but for the most part it looks like it's going to make landfall in this general vicinity here up in northwest and Western Australia through either late tonight, very late on tonight, or into early tomorrow morning. And just going to head over the Mitchell Plateau deep in towards northwest and Western Australia, where it is going to release its load, that's for sure. I mean, take a look at how much rainfall we're expecting here. Some consistent, very heavy falls expected over this part of northern Western Australia. North of Curracurra and between Curracurra and Balgo, some really significant falls are possible throughout the remainder of this weekend, with heavy rainfall persisting into Monday for Western Australia and heavy showers persisting through Tuesday and into Wednesday into the heartland of Queensland. Unfortunately, it also looks like this might cause a few thunderstorms in already flood-prone areas through Monday and Tuesday into Queensland. Showers and thunderstorms aren't going to be widespread, but you can see here between major forecast modelling there might be a little bit more rainfall on the cards dreadfully for inland Queensland and Western Australia. So this is certainly a system that we need to be watching quite closely, and it looks like it is going to be a problem child, that's for sure. Whether it forms into a tropical cyclone or not, it certainly looks like it could be a bit of a problem child. So throughout the remainder of the storm's life and through this weekend, you can see widespread falls around the landfall site expected to be above 150 millimetres. Derby should pick up about 50 to 100 millimetres of rainfall from this system here, not expecting too much, and then falls expected to be pretty concentrated around the storm centre as it heads further inland, but we could be seeing some decent rainfall accumulations around the Curracurra area, the Balgo area, south of Fitzroy Crossing and Halls Creek, anywhere between the 50 to about 250 millimetres. Still a little bit too early to tell. The heaviest falls will be happening later on this weekend through Sunday and into towards Monday, and then those falls continuing to build across the interior parts of the NT and then in towards Queensland. I know it doesn't sound like much, but we could be seeing a further 50 millimetres fall in a pretty quick time period, especially if it comes in through thunderstorms next Wednesday or Thursday into interior parts of Queensland, which will cause them all sorts of problems out there. So I'm really hoping that this rainfall doesn't come into fruition. Certainly something we're going to have to watch like a hawk over the next couple of days, but this tropical cyclone here could very well end up being a problem child, that's for sure. Other interesting nuggets happening around Australia, apart from that low pressure system that could fire up off the New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania coastline in the next couple of days as a result of the low pressure system driving that rainfall around Queensland and New South Wales. Not an awful lot. We do have a few showers and thunderstorms expected to fire up. I believe it's this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we could be seeing a bit of a thunderstorm outbreak across the southwestern corner of Western Australia, and you can see here showers and thunderstorms expected to be widespread along that west coast trough beginning Friday night around Saturday night around Lake Grace and Ravensthorpe, and then continuing through Saturday night into Sunday morning further north around Merredin and Southern Cross. We could be seeing a few thunderstorms and showers develop in this general vicinity here, and you can see rainfall accumulations have been very consistent over the last couple of days as well. Some isolated falls up to 50 millimetres are possible, and then widespread falls between 5 and 25 millimetres can also be possible across parts of the central and then into the south wheat belt and even into the Great Southern as well. So rainfall accumulations, whilst there won't be anything for the Perth metro area and surrounding coastal communities such as Mandurah, Bunbury, Busselton, rainfall accumulations further inland could be quite healthy indeed, and these farmers, they will take it with open hands, that's for sure. The rainfall out here looking quite healthy indeed. In terms of the risk of thunderstorms right now, it's a little bit hard to say for sure. It definitely looks like there is a good risk for them, especially later on Saturday for the metro area and around the south coastal regions. We could be seeing a few thunderstorms pop up here and there, but in towards Sunday it doesn't look like too much in the way of storm activity or favourable storm activity is going to be around. It just looks like it's going to be happening on the backside of that west coast trough with some cool moist air meeting from the southern ocean meeting with some warm moist air being dragged down from the tropics and some warm dry air, which could give way to some pretty good convective thunderstorms into interior parts of WA's wheat belt. But anyways, on that note, that is all that I have time for this morning. I do hope you've enjoyed this weather update here or found it informative, and if you have, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. A special shout out, of course, to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and again, I could not run the show without them. And a big special mention to all of those farmers that are going to be doing it tough into rural parts of Queensland, South Australia and New South Wales as a result of this rainfall here. The whole nation's thoughts are with you this morning, including mine. But that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.